And when you start talking about deeply rooted and strong roots, you got to understand that those roots came from a position of I am persuaded. Just like Paul had gone through all these different calamities and different troubles and these different trials, it did not dissuade him from doing the will of God and the work of God that he had called him to. In Acts, the 14th chapter, it talks about Paul being stoned. It was such an interesting moment where he got stoned. They threw him out the city, thinking he was dead. He laying there, all of his disciples looking over him and probably praying and wondering what we gonna do. And all of a sudden he raised his hand. And they just kind of lift him up, dust him off, and let's go about our way. Now, how many of us, after we had been stoned, after we had been near death, would have been still persuaded to want to preach and teach the gospel? Well, if that don't convince you, then in the 16th chapter, when Paul and Silas, we always go to the point where they were locked in jail, and they'd be like, at midnight. Yeah, but there was a time before midnight. Before they got to midnight, they got beat. They were beaten, and then they were thrust into prison. But yet and still, even though they was hurting, even though they had pain, they were in the back of a prison, some kind of way they found a praise and a thanks unto God such that it caused the whole foundation of that prison to be shook. Persuaded.